Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Another day on the ATP Tour. As always, we've got some more matches to go through, and we'll be sure to go through each and every one of them. Get your comments in with your predictions. Anything that I'm going for personally will be in that pinned comment. If you want to check that out, you're more than welcome to. Like the video if you'd be so kind. Get yourself subscribed to the channel if you're not already. We continue to grow each and every day, closing in on 2.2k, so get yourself involved. I'd appreciate that. And now all that's out the way, how did we enjoy the matches yesterday? There was nothing official from me. I just sat on the outrights. What outrights I've got? More so the Kovacevic match. I was rather pleased with what I've seen in that one. Happy days. Let me know. Did you win? Did you lose? Did you just come close? And very well. Very well then. We shall waste no more time with it. We will head on over to Kitzbuhel in Austria. First off, Hanfmann, Lucas Neumayer. I'll be going with Hanfmann in this one. I think I'll be leaning towards the German to get this one done. We all know he tends to perform more often than not in these altitude tournaments. More importantly, this tournament. I mean, semi-finals last year, round of 16 in 2023, semi-finals in 2022. Very nice. Very nice indeed, and he's absolutely flew through qualifying too. He's dealt a 6-1 set in the first set of both of these matches in qualifying. Most definitely going to fancy himself against Lucas Neumayer. Home wildcard, home dog. He tends to do pretty much all the business on the clay too. From what we've seen, 26 wins, 15 losses. That is a fairly decent record. Albeit mainly coming on the Challenger Tour. There's a couple of ITFs mixed in there. Hanfmann ain't been too great. Nothing to write home about really. I mean, 12 wins, 11 losses. That's what he's done on the clay. The majority of the wins has come on the clay, 22 and 18 on the season. Bit more tour proven. Bit more rough and ready to go at tour level, although we did see Martin Fucsovic struggle yesterday with that home dog in Joseph Schwartzler, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Hanfmann succumb to the same. Ultimately, he should be able to see this one through. He's looked really good in qualifying, 2 games under your belt. What did it open up at? Let me check really quick. 1.4, he's sitting at 1.5. Tiny bit of cash coming in on the dog at the moment. I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't read into that too much. I'd still lean towards the German to edge that one out, however way he wants to go about it. So we will move on to Botic van der Zandschulp and Nicholas Jarry. I'd want to go with Nicholas Jarry in this. In fact, I think I'm going to go with Nicholas Jarry in this one. I was rather impressed from what we've seen over the grass campaign. More importantly, Wimbledon. He was flying through Wimbledon before he bumped into Norrie. You know, he took out Joao Fonseca, Lena Tien, Holger Rune. He come through qualifying 2-1 all his qualifying matches in straight sets. Now, those that have been around for, well, I'd say earlier on in the season or even before that, it doesn't really matter. But for those that were around here at the start of the season, you'll probably remember me saying I was expecting that sort of Nicholas Jarry a lot earlier on. Didn't quite seem to cut it, couldn't really get a grip of himself in the matches, and it went through lack of trying. The matches he was trying, they were close losses. More often than not, he would win a set. Now I'm just hoping he can ride off the back of the form into the clay and take out van der Zandschulp. I think it's very likely. I think it's very, very likely. Although van der Zandschulp has proven to be rather decent in the altitude as well. Maybe not so much in this tournament. This is the first time he's played, but you know, there's a couple of us throughout the season too. I just don't think he's consistent enough. He is nowhere near consistent enough for me. And I know Nicholas Jarry has been, you know, according to his record, you'd look at it and go 16 wins, 17 losses, 5 and 11 on the clay. That's not promising. It's not promising at all. And I understand. I completely understand, but I'm just going off what I'm assuming Nicholas Jarry can do on the day, providing he plays just as good as what he did in Wimbledon. I imagine he'll be full of confidence. You'd say he'd be more than pleased to come back onto the clay, even though he was delivering his best tennis on the grass. We've seen the damage that he can do on this surface when he's fully fit and he's fully firing, and he is more than capable of taking out Botic van der Sandschulp, no doubt. Who's not in the best form himself. I mean, 16 wins, 20 losses on the season, 8 and 9 on the clay. That's not too great too. You've kind of just got to go with your gut, go with what you know. This will be the transitional game back to the surface for Nicolas Jarry, so maybe just stay off this one. I'm not too sure. The price is currently sitting around 1.5. This opened up at 1.7. It's now dropping to 1.5 for Nicolas Jarry. That is, so you do with that what you will. I would probably leave with him to get that one done. And then next up we have got Sebastian Ofner and Jan-Lennard Struff. Should be fireworks this one. This should be a rather interesting match to say the least. They've played each other 3 times before. Sebastian Ofner has won 2 of the 3. He's won the last 2. He beat him in the French Open this year on the clay, obviously, and he beat him last year in Hong Kong on the hard court. Very close games. There was 2 tiebreakers in the French Open, and there was 3 tiebreakers last year on the hard court. The home tournament for Sebastian Ofner, straight off the bat, we'll clear that one up. It's pretty much split right down the middle, depending where you look. Sebastian Ofner becoming a bigger and bigger favourite as the hours go on, I would imagine. I say split down the middle, it was split down the middle. I've now got Sebastian Ofner around 1.8. It's 1.7 in other places, depending where you look. He is currently on a 2-game losing streak. One was to Dimitrov in Wimbledon. Come onto the clay, he didn't look too great against Demir Juma last week in Bastad. Like I said, home tournament. If you're not going to be inspired for this one, then I don't know what to tell you. He's been much more solid, much more consistent throughout the year than the German. We have to say that. 21 and 12 for Sebastian Ofner since he's come back. Fantastic. Pretty much all the damage has been done on the dirt as well. 17 and 9 on the clay for the Austrian. And Struff, man, I mean, I don't even like to talk about it, but you sort of have to, don't you? 9 wins, 20 losses. That's bad. That's really bad. This is actually, I think I read before, this is the worst start or the worst season he's had so far since 2015. And I'm just scrolling through the years now, and I think that might be just correct. 3 and 8 on the clay, 1 and 7 on the hard court, 2 and 2 indoors, 3 and 3 on the grass. This could not be any further from the Jan-Lennard Struff that I know and love. But it's the same story every time. We know what we're going to get. He's a menace. When he's playing well, he's an absolute menace. I feel like these kind of cancel each other out. They're very similar in styles. I do think you're going to get a little bit more versatility from, let's say, a Sebastian Ofner, but Struff just brings that power, man. And it doesn't matter how powerful you are, there's not much you can do against the power and the pace of Jan-Lennard Struff when he's fired. And, these clay courts, even though it is clay, these do tend to be a little bit more on the quicker side. Actually, a lot more on the quicker side of the dirt courts that we get on the tour. Also, with that being said, with it being played at altitude, you may or may not have noticed, but you find with heavy hitters, with big hitters like this, balls that would have been in anywhere else, you may be finding them just a little bit long today. So I'm expecting some headers from the pair of them. I'm expecting a close one, pretty much like we have had both of the last times they've played. I think Sebastian Ofner most definitely gets the nod, with it being at home and with it being on the clay. 17 and 9 compared to the 3 and 8 record of Jan-Lennard Struff, but 2 of those 3 have come in qualifying for this tournament, and he's won both of them in straight sets. Neither opponent quite up to the standard of Sebastian Ofner on the day, but we'll see how he gets on. Considering all the signs point to Sebastian Ofner, for me, it's very close on the odds, very close indeed. So you do with that what you will. Maybe look at either one to take a set. It could go over. Look at the total games played. It's entirely up to you. Now we've got Arthur Cazaux, Ignacio Buse. This is a tough one. Both of these played really, really well. I was impressed with the pair of these two. Last week it was in Gstaad, weren't it? Both of them in the same tournament. They were. Both of them got to the semi-finals. Both of them obviously lost to the eventual finalist. Cazaux ran into Bublik and Buse ran into Sarundalo. Both of them were fairly decent. leading up to that point. Buse had to come through qualifying. He took out Laszlo Jarry, Kamil Masharach, Borichaga. That was a solid run indeed. Cazaux put in a decent shift as well. Basilashvili, Etcheverry, Jeremy Kim, all of them in 3 sets. I've got something in my eye, pardon me. Fuck, it's gone now. What was I saying? Yeah, all in 3 sets for Cazaux. Unfortunately, he ran into the eventual winner of the title. Not much you're going to do against Alexander Bublik, I'm afraid. But we kind of seen this come with Cazaux. He ain't really done much all season. There's most definitely a player there, more than aware of that. Seems to hit a bit of a stride through qualifying in Wimbledon. Took out Adam Walton, bumped into the Demon once again. Rather unfortunate for Cazaux. He hadn't played Alex de Minaur. And Alexander Bublik, maybe he'd be on a 9-game winning streak. I'm not too sure. But that's neither here nor there. Ignacio Buse, I'm still kind of dealing with a lot of the unknown when it comes to the young Peruvian. He was fantastic last week. Fantastic, but I'm not saying I'm not expecting him to be able to replicate what he did. I'm just saying if he was to go ahead and not replicate what he did last week, I wouldn't be mad with him whatsoever. I don't really know what to expect on the day. But going off what we've seen last week, he played really good. What are the odds on this? Let me just consult the bookies really fast. Ignacio Buse opened up as a dog. Pretty much even money dog. And now he is currently sitting at 1.8. Quite a bit of cash coming in on the Peruvian. I don't know if I agree with it. I'll just say it now. Like I said, I know we played good. I know we played really well last week. No one really seen that one coming. But Cazaux played probably just as well. I feel like Cazaux, maybe not by much, if anything, but he's most definitely more tour proven than Buse. They've played each other once before as well. That was in Wimbledon a couple of weeks ago. And Cazaux, it was qualifying for Wimbledon, just the 3 sets. Buse did take a tiebreak in the 2nd set, but the sets that Cazaux won, he absolutely slapped the shit out of him. 6-2 in the 1st, and then 6-1 in the 3rd. Now we're not on the grass, we're on the clay, and Buse clearly prefers this surface, so that does shake things up quite some. But call me crazy, I wouldn't mind taking just a little punt on Cazaux today. Just a small one. Maybe just for him to take a set. Just a one. Anyone? I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling it or not. While he's a dog, the price isn't that bad. Like I say, he managed to deal with them with relative ease over in qualifying for Wimbledon. I imagine it'll be a little bit tougher this time out, but I would not mind going with the Frenchman in this one, folks, if you want my honest opinion. And then we'll move on to Filip Misolic and Thomas Martin Etcheverry. Etcheverry, if he was playing like he usually does, you'd probably take him. Right? Especially at a price like this. He ain't been that great this year. He ain't been too bad, but he ain't been that great. 10 wins, 13 losses on the clay. I expected a bit more than that, if I'm being honest with you. We know on the day he's probably a lot more capable of dealing with tour level opponents than Filip Misolic, but maybe we can't say that anymore because Filip Misolic has been fantastic this year. We've seen him last week. You cannot deny the form of this guy. Home tournament for him too. He's Austrian, isn't he? Yeah, that's right. Home tournament for Misolic. Got to the quarterfinals last week, bumped into Ugo Carabelli, ended up getting beat in straight sets. But he was on a flyer before that, and he was on a flyer in that tournament. And we spoke about his record then, and we'll mention it again now. 35 wins, 10 losses on the clay. You cannot deny that whatsoever. Certainly a lot better and a lot more promising than the 10 and 13 from the Argentine. Not only that, 49 and 16 for Misolic. 18 and 20 were for Etcheverry. Yeah, he just ain't been in great form. And it's a tough one with Etcheverry because you've got to watch out with him. You've got to watch out. He'll spring an upset just when you least expect it. And then you'll think he'll be good for the next one. And then he won't turn up at all. I don't know whether it's a fitness issue. It's definitely not a skill issue because we've seen him take out some decent opponents already this season. But the wins have been few and far between, especially solid runs anyway. If he wins one, it's highly unlikely he'll win another and then another. I would probably have to side with Filip Misolic. While the odds are like this, you could take either one for a set. Probably more so the Austrian as a nice little parlay piece. 1.8 for Misolic. Any takers on that? I couldn't talk it off. Etcheverry is seeded 5th in this tournament, but I think Misolic may be more than ready to bring it today in front of his home fans. So you do with that what you will. And then 2 more. We've got Jamie Faria and Thiago Tirante. I don't want to upset the Portuguese boys because they're all lovely. They're all lovely in the comments. They really are. There's some fine folk. But we've got some fine Argentinians in there too. And I'll be honest with you, I'd probably have to go with Tirante in this one. It's not impersonal. It's really not. It's just a surface issue, that's it. You know, the record would suggest Thiago Tirante is much more suited to the surface than a Jamie Faria. 6 and 9 on the clay for the Portuguese, and then 24-15 for the Argentinian. They've played each other once before. That was back in 2024, so last year, obviously. On the clay too, that went the way of Thiago Tirante. He dropped the first set 6-3 and then took it 6-1, 6-4 in the second and third. And he's coming into this one around 1.5 on the decimal. Opened up around 1.6, slight little drop in price for Tirante. Kind of expected it. I mean, he's been in better form. He has been in better form. This would be the second main tour level win that he'd got all season, providing he was to win it, obviously. I don't know, Jamie Faria is no joke, man. He's good. The level does dip quite a bit. He comes out, he plays fantastic, and then he comes out and plays a bit shit. He's kind of tough to get a read on. But he's big and he's strong, and I enjoy watching him. I really do. It's definitely a winnable game for him. I'm not completely writing him off without a shot. I don't think I'm going to look that much into it or overthink it. Jamie Faria, I mean, the odds, this was pretty much split down the middle when this opened up. Jamie Faria, for me, opened up at 1.9. He's now currently sitting at 2.65. Clearly, quite a lot of people don't fancy a piece of the Portuguese. They would rather take a nice little slice of the Argentinian pie today. And I couldn't talk it off that 1.5. I'm not 1.5 sure when it comes to Tirante. I feel like I'm rolling the dice on the unknown in that one. I'm going to keep my eye on it, obviously, but it'd be the Argentinian for me in that one. And then we'll wrap this shit up over in Kitzbuhel with Thiago Seyboth and Justin Engel. Interesting to say the least. Now, straight off the bat, we all know Justin Engel. I mean, fairly inexperienced when it comes to this level. Got himself a couple of decent wins already this season, we'll give him that, but how's he going to get on against Seyboth? I'm not too sure. Justin Engel put in a couple of decent games on the grass, done a fair amount of damage earlier on in the clay, and then you're talking ITF, the start of the season, so he's only young. He is only young, 17 to be exact. That is very, very young. Thiago Seyboth ain't exactly been firing on all cylinders so far this season. 14 and 19 on the year, 13 and 12 on the clay. It's good. It's good enough. It's better than most. It's not great. Could be better. Could be a lot worse. We could be playing on the hard court. 1-4, 0-1 indoors, 0-1 on the grass. It has to be the clay or pretty much nothing for the Brazilian, if you'd ask me. I think he wins this one. I'd love to sit here and think Justin Engel can jump in and win this one, but I just think there's levels. I do. Thiago Seyboth, he did get to the final over on the Challenger Tour 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah. What was that? Was that grass or was that clay? It had to be clay, right? Yeah, it was clay over in Italy. Did get to the finals over there. So maybe he's starting to snap back into a little bit of form. Justin Engel has played a little bit of clay since he's come off the grass too. So I don't know, you pick your poison, folks. You pay your money, you take your choice. I don't think Seyboth is in good enough form just yet, or I don't think I've seen enough just yet from the main draw, Seyboth, for me to be fully certain that he's the one to go for in this one. He didn't even get through qualifying for Bastad last week, so I just keep an eye on it. Play it safe, probably just stay away from it entirely. But that's going to do us over in Austria. And then I think we'll just hop on over to Croatia really quick. So 2 of these matches we did touch on yesterday. The order of play just fucked me up. So it was Dino Prismic, Elmer Moller and Jesper de Jong. And the Croatian guys, so if you're looking for them, you can go back and look at yesterday's video. So just the 2. First off, it's going to be Francesco Passarro and Camillo Ugo Carabelli. Looking forward to this one. This will be an interesting game of clay court tennis. They've played each other once before. That went the way of the Italian back in 2022. I don't think that does much for us today. Both of them are decent. Both of them do the work over on the clay. Passarro 21-10 and Ugo Carabelli 26-14. Both have been playing decent as of late as well. We touched on Passarro over the grass campaign. Garbage, but then coming back onto the clay. Seems to be well and truly back to winning ways. Christian Garin, Van der Sandschulp took out Filip Misolic, got to the semi-finals before he got beat by Jesper de Jong. He would have went on to go and fight against Jarry for the title, and what a match that was. Very decent performance from the pair of them. But I was impressed with what I've seen from Ugo Carabelli, considering, you know, he needed to snap back into form like now. That's exactly what he done. Francesco Passarro's been playing decent. He just kind of ticks along a little bit. Since we've come back onto the clay, he's lost the 2 games and he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6-2 since Wimbledon. We'll take that. That's not too bad. Yeah, level of opponent ain't been too great. I mean, Joris de Law, Luca Van Asch, Brunold, Bueno. He did have that very impressive result against Artur Rinderknech, but how much of that had to do with Artur Rinderknech just not being fucking ball? I don't know. I don't want to take anything away from it, but decent win from Passarro. We got beat by Jeremy Kim, and then he's just come over to Croatia at a very, very close game with was it Matic Dodig? He took 3 sets to get past him. How's he going to get on with Ugo Carabelli? Now, although both of these definitely prefer the clay rather than anything else, I do think Ugo Carabelli is probably the better of the 2 on the surface, even if it's just only slightly. I think he's got a little bit more. I think he's probably a little bit trustworthy at a higher level. 51 in the world, right outside that top 50. I imagine the Argentine will be more than inspired to go and clinch that this week. And then Passarro just outside the top 120. There is levels, and at the moment I feel like Ugo Carabelli, he may or may not be operating at just a different level than Francesco Passarro, but I feel like I'd probably be willing to roll the dice and just lean with the Argentinian while the odds are so close, either one for a set. Probably go with Ugo Carabelli to take a set as a nice little parlay piece. I think he just wins it straight up, but that shall remain to be seen. And then we'll finish off in Croatia with Pablo Llamas Ruiz and Terence Atmane. Both of these coming into their last match as a dog, I think. Did Llamas Ruiz come into that? He did, as a dog against Kamil Masharach, and he bullied him in straight sets. And then Terence Atmane entered against Dusan Lazovic as, that's right, a dog. And he got through in straight sets as well. I watched a bit of that. I thought Terence Atmane served very, very well. Very strong, powerful serve. That'll do well for you today. But I think Llamas Ruiz most definitely thrives on the surface. He does. Terence Atmane a lot more suited to the hard court, as you would imagine. And then Llamas Ruiz a lot more suited to the clay. 537 in the world for, is he Spanish? I'm sure he's Spanish, gotta be. Yeah, outside the top 500 for the Spaniard, just outside the top 100 for Terence Atmane. Both the same age as well. So it really just does come down to the surface. I suppose we're getting Llamas Ruiz around 1.5. I'd say he looked decent against Kamil Masharach, but I think Kamil Masharach looked a little bit disappointing the last time we took him against Ignacio Buse. Terence Atmane for the set. I don't know, if you watch the game you'll know what I mean. The serve was good, and if he can serve just as well as that, there'll be enough 3 points within it to at least keep it close. I don't know what the spread will be, probably 1.5. It's probably not even worth looking at. You may as well just take him straight up if you're going to look at that. I wouldn't mind that, man. for a set, if you're having a wild guess at it, I'm not picking it with much conviction. I would pretty much expect the Spaniard to pull through on the dirt more often than not in these spots, given the circumstances anyway, so I'm not too sure. I wish you the best of luck with that one. Alright then folks, we will head on over to Washington and then I will let you go about your business. Going to be finishing off the rest of these first round matches, and as we speak right now, there's a couple filtering through on the order of play for round 2, so if there's any odds by the time we get for them, we shall be sure to touch on them. But for now, I'm just watching Nishioka and Jensen Brooksby as well. I have no idea how that one's going to finish. It's just in the second set, Nishioka's just broke him, and then Brooksby's just broke back 4-3 to Nishioka in the second. We'll see how he gets on, and Gio still needs to play Alexander Vukic tonight. I'm rather looking forward to that one. I think Gio should be good for that. But for now, first off, we've got Zachary Svajda, Kecmanovic. Ain't got too much to say on this one, if I'm being honest. It'd probably be a lean towards Kecmanovic just based on what we know. This will be a guy who'll be very, very grateful that we're back onto the hard court. He went 5-7 on the clay, 2-3 on the grass, 12-7 on the hard to start the season. Fairly decent. I will certainly give him that. Zachary Svajda, although we are in the States, he's went 8-11 on the hard court. Seems to have done pretty much every bit of damage over on the grass, just coming off a grass title over in Newport on the Challenger, and then transitioned to the hard court in Washington, staying over in the States. Took out Bernard Tomic in qualifying, and then took out Watanuki in the second round. And now he's preparing himself for Kecmanovic, who is still dealing with the transition to the hard court last time out. We seen Kecmanovic in Wimbledon, third round, ran into Djokovic. It's a shame. Not a lot you can do there. He did beat Alex Michelsen and Jesper de Jong prior to the Djokovic game. It'd have to be Kecmanovic, if anything. I'm not picking it with much conviction, if any, at all. This opened up around 1.3, and he's went to 1.4. It's very, very steep price for Kecmanovic. You know, I don't really like to sleep on the Americans, especially over in the States, but I think there is most definitely a couple of levels between a Kecmanovic and a Zachary Svajda. 153 in the world for the American, 49th in the world, top 50 for Kecmanovic. I'm expecting him to get this one done. How easy it's going to be for him, I'm not too sure, but he should come out victorious at the end of the day. And then we've got Monfils and Wu. Straight off the bat, Monfils around 1.4, 1.45. He did open up at 1.2. Quite a little bit of dough coming in on Wu at the moment. I would love Monfils to win. We all want Monfils to win. We're Monfils fans over here, aren't we? It's always a pleasure to watch him perform, especially at this level, at this point in his career. It's fantastic, to say the least. But even he doesn't win, I'm not too bothered. I certainly don't really trust betting on or against Monfils at the moment. He should be good for this one. We haven't seen him since the second round of Wimbledon. Got beat by Martin Fucsovics, very close game. You don't really need me to tell you, he is more than capable of taking out Wu on the day, providing he's good to go and he's fully fit. He should be more than rested enough for this one. He's had over 2 weeks off, preparing for it. I mean, there's another guy. He'll be rather grateful that we're back on the hard court surface. 3-3 on the clay, 1-3 on the grass, 14-5 on the hard court. But we just went 14-3. We just went 14-3 on the hard court, and they're all pretty much dating back since the start of June. Yeah, that's right. This guy's season started in Miami, apparently. I don't know enough. Just like the last one, I mean, there's just levels. Gael Monfils, top 50. Wu, barely inside the top 250, 243 to be precise. Now, I'm not completely writing him off in terms of an upset. He has come through qualifying for this. He did have to come back in both games. He dropped the first set in both matches, one to Kruger and the other one to Corentin Moutet. Good stuff that he managed to come through and get a win. Look, it's the same thing with Gael Monfils all the time, although the odds are rather steep. if you're not going to trust him early doors, the later and later the week gets on, providing he remains in the tournament, you're not going to trust him half as much. So if there's ever a time for you to put some trust in Gael Monfils, it's probably going to be early days in the tournament, if you'd ask me. And then we've got Jarry Munar and Marcus Giron. I want to go with Marcus Giron. I want to take Marcus Giron so much. I do. I'm very, very tempted by Marcus Giron. With us being on the hard court, I don't think there's much that separates these two depending on what the surface is. If we were on the clay, completely different story, but we're not. We're in the hard court. And not only are we on the hard court, we're in the States now. We're back in the States. I would fancy Marcus Giron to have more than enough to get this one done, although he doesn't really tend to do fuck all over in Washington. First round exit in 2023, first round exit the year before that, second round the year before that, didn't play last year. As for Jarry Munar, this is the first time he's played over in Washington, so we are kind of dealing with the unknown in that regard. Funnily enough, he's posted his best record on the hard court this season, which is fucking crazy when you think about it. You know, this guy is technically made of clay, but yet he's went 6-9 on the dirt this year, 5-4 on the hard court, 3-1 indoors. Like we said last time out, Jarry Munar has made significant improvements to his all-round game. Say something about that. 17-16 on the season for Marcus Giron, 17-17 for the Spaniard. Like I said at the start of it, I think depending on where we are, they cancel each other out. There's not a lot to separate these two, and I feel like the odds would reflect that. Rather apparently 1.8, barely 1.8 for the American, and I feel like it's a very tempting price. I'm not going to say Marcus Giron is a fucking hardcourt specialist, far from it, but he does tend to specialise in these hard courts. I'm expecting him to get it done. Do I trust him to get it done? Absolutely not. I mean, he's definitely there for the taking today. Jarry Munar, you give him half a chance, he will most definitely take it. I know he will. He springs upset after upset, mainly because bookies never really trust him when we're not playing on the clay. But I think he stands a decent chance. I think he stands probably, maybe not just as much, but he does stand a decent chance of getting this one done. I think Marcus Giron is in the better spot to go ahead and take it, but at 1.8, it's very tempting. It's very, very tempting. You wouldn't be surprised to see that go the 3 sets. Whoever comes out victorious in the end, so be it. I'd give the edge to Marcus Giron in that one if I had to take it. Take him for the set, play it safe. I'd be very, very shocked if Jarry Munar was to turn up to Washington and just dust Marcus Giron 1-2, just like that. So maybe looking for a set while the odds are as good as what they are. And then 2 more for the first round. We've got Goffin coming up against Boo. Good old Honey Boo Boo. I'd probably lean towards Boo in this one, funnily enough. He's been far from impressive this season. But the same could be said for Goffin, 12-21. For Boo, 9-16 for Goffin. I think the only thing separating the two in this one is most definitely the conditions. And not only the conditions, may I add, the quick conditions. These are most definitely on the quicker side of the courts over here in Washington. And based off what we know Boo tends to thrive in the quicker surfaces, no doubt. Now, Bet365, this is weird. I mean, this opened up around 1.9. Certain places, that can't be right. That cannot be true. That's more like it. 1.7 for Boo. He's now currently sitting at 1.5. Quite a decent bit of cash coming in on him at the moment as it stands. Now, Goffin's another one. He's tricky. He's a tricky customer. He's a crafty vet. Definitely in crafty veteran status at the moment. Prior to this, both of them ain't been in the greatest of form. They won one match in the last tournament. Goffin got past Martin Landeloos, and then Boo got past that guy who was like top 1,000 in the world, Magadan, something like that. It's quite irrelevant coming into this. My point being, both of them have been well off the boil, so you kind of are rolling the dice on 2 bang out of form opponents. I don't really feel like this should be a favourite in a match like this. Spots like this, they should just give you plus money either side. Because sometimes it's a miracle that either opponents can win a match when they're playing as bad as what these two have been doing. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to touch it. Say 4-8 on the hard court for Boo, 5-7 for David Goffin. Yeah, we're getting Boo around 1.5. Nah, it just doesn't line up nice enough for me to have a go on that one. I'd lean towards Boo, just given the surface, but like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if David Goffin was to turn up and upset the apple cart today. And then finishing off the first round, we've got Quinton Halys and Alexander Kovacevic. Now, if this was last week, we'd have taken Kovacevic in an absolute heartbeat. But I'm looking at the odds now, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, it was split down the middle. You're now getting Quinton Halys around 1.8. You know, Alexander Kovacevic just coming off that run to the final, and it was a very impressive run to the final indeed. May I add, how much is he going to have left in the tank coming into Washington? He may be fine. He may be fine, and if he is fine, that may look like an absolute steal come tomorrow, because I feel like he's more than capable of taking out the current version of Quinton Halys, don't you? I do. Played each other once before, 2023, that went the way of the Frenchman. That was on the hard court. Quinton Halys 10-7 on the surface this season, 11-6 for the American. I say you're pretty much rolling the dice on the gas tank of Kovacevic, because you cannot deny the form. You certainly cannot deny that. If he's good to go, I'd imagine he'll whip the shit out of Quinton Halys today over in the States, but you just don't know how he's going to hold up. I feel like the odds are very reflective of that, especially with Halys being a favourite. You know, off the back of what we just seen, something fucking stinks in the garden, doesn't it? I don't know if I like it or not. I would love to go with Kovacevic, but I just can't. I can't. It's a fool's game, this one. It really is. Just see how they both hold up, because Quinton Halys didn't look too great over in Los Cabos either. He got beat by Fikovic. So pick your poison. Pick your poison on that one. I think it's a bit too tough to tell at the moment. Now, just really quick before we finish up for the night, there are a couple filtering through, as I mentioned earlier on. We'll just go through them really quick. There's hardly any odds for the majority of them, but for the ones that have got odds, we'll touch on them really quick. So first one to come through is Cam Norrie, Lorenzo Musetti. I hope this is right, by the way. Cam Norrie and Lorenzo Musetti head-to-head is 2-0 to the Italian. Call it 1.6 to... Look, 1.7, 1.6, it's saying 1.55. Like I said, the odds are all over the place. They're just currently getting set as we speak. Lorenzo Musetti weren't too impressive last time out. We know he's dealing with a couple of injury concerns, or an injury concern, rather. Cam Norrie's looked decent in Wimbledon. Decent enough, anyway. Bumped into Alcaraz in the quarterfinals. He's just took out Billy Harris in the first round in Washington. Decent match too, 6-3, and then a tiebreak. Slightest of dogs. If anyone has any information regarding the fitness of Lorenzo Musetti, please do let me know. Because if he's fully fit and ready to go, I'd fancy him to give a good go to Cam Norrie, but he's definitely there for the taking. Like I say, Bashilashvili just slapped him around fucking Wimbledon. Absolutely slapped him off the court. Wouldn't be surprised to see Cam Norrie pull off an upset if we were to get that same version of Lorenzo Musetti that we got last time out on the grass. They played each other twice before, not since 2023, both of them. In 2023, both of them coming the way on the clay, so it doesn't really do much for us in this one. And then the next one that's come through is Ben Shelton and Mackenzie McDonald. Gotta be Shelton, right? Gotta be Shelton, but at 1.22 I feel like that's just a little bit too steep for me, although I feel like I could most certainly trust Ben Shelton to go on a little bit of a run this week over in Washington. I'm certainly expecting him to anyway. Mackenzie McDonald is certainly no joke, 11-6 on the hard court this season. 9-5 for Shelley. I mean, there's just levels. Ben Shelton's sitting at number 8 in the world now. Mackenzie McDonald just inside the top 100 at 95. You can expect Ben Shelton to turn up when it matters most, especially when he's playing in his home tournament, so I would definitely lean the way of Shelley in that one. 1.2 is extremely steep, I will admit. And then we've got Alexander Muller, is that? Holger Rune. Got Holger Rune at 1.5. It's not bad. Not bad. 1.5 dropping to 1.4, 1.45 roundabout. I wouldn't mind it. I ain't seen Holger Rune since he got beaten in the first round of Wimbledon. Madness. Madness, didn't expect that. But it was a decent performance from Nicholas Jarry nonetheless. Alexander Muller has just got past Bebet in the first round in Washington. Didn't, he weren't in the greatest of form prior to this. Maybe he's found what he's been looking for. Holger Rune, you don't need me to tell you, he's so inconsistent. Super inconsistent, but we are back on the hard court. Tends to do most of the work on that. He's played his best tennis so far this year on the hard court and on, well, I'd say the clay. Obviously the clay, he won that title, but 9-5 records on both of them. I would like to think he gets it done. I would like to assume we live in a world where Holger Rune can get past the first round in the majority of these tournaments. Nothing personal against Alexander Muller, but he's not quite on the level of Holger Rune, although Alexander Muller has got himself a title so far this year, and it was on the hard court in Hong Kong as well, for those that may have forgotten. So at 1.4 to 1.5, I don't know how you feel about that. Alexander Muller definitely stands a chance at beating Holger Rune. They've played each other once before. That was back in 2021 on the Challenger on the clay. Doesn't mean much today. It would be Holger Rune as the slightest of leans, but at that price I would not advise anyone to go near that. It's a very small price to pay for Holger Rune to ruin your day. And then there's no odds for these, so you'll have to just let me know near the time. So we've got Michelsen and Dan Evans, Benach and Ethan Quinn, Fabian Madison, Gabe Diallo. I would imagine Gabe Diallo beats Fabian Madison. I would imagine Benach probably beats Ethan Quinn, although that could be a bit tougher than I imagine. I imagine Benach going to be a favourite in that. And then as for Michelsen and Dan Evans, I couldn't tell you. Dan Evans did pull off the upset against Izu Bergs today, but maybe that was a bit more obvious than what we thought in the first place. Zizou Bergs has just been well off it, and he continues to be well off the boil. Fair play, good shit to Dan Evans. He tends to play good in this tournament anyway. He has won it previously. But I think that's going to do us. That is going to do us for tonight, folks, and I shall let you go. Thanks for watching the show. I appreciate each and every one of you. You know that I do. You all mean a lot to me. Like and subscribe if you're not as well. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate that too. But I'll be saying good night to you. I'll be saying good night to you, folks. You take it easy, yeah? You take care of yourselves. You take care of one another. That is the most important thing. Let me know what you're going for. Get yourself involved. Share with the group. Don't be shy. Stay positive. Stay beautiful. Enjoy the matches. Yeah, let's go get that cash today. And I'll see you all tomorrow.